of Trustee meeting. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think you should make that statement about masks.
Okay, so good evening and welcome to trustees and student board members as well. Just wanted to make a note that mask wearing is no longer mandated indoors at this meeting, so you're certainly welcome to do what you think is right, but they are no longer required. So, having said that, we are going to move on to item number 6, which is announcements of reportable action in closed session, and I will turn it over to Vice President Butler.
Okay, the board did meet in closed session this evening on 3 items. The first item is respect to every item of business to be discussed in closed session. Public employees discipline, dismissal, release. There were 2 items under that, and I'm going to read those out. On a motion by Trustee Gasson and a second by Trustee Aguila, the board voted 6-0 in closed session to non-reelect probationary certificated employees for the 2022-2023 school year pursuant to Education Code Section 44929.21. The superintendent or designee shall notify the employees in writing of these actions. The yeas were Trustee Nell, Trustee Butler, Trustee Gasson, Trustee Jacobson, Trustee Aguila, and Trustee Millerick. There were no noes. We had 1 abstain from Trustee Mack. The second item under this closed session item, on a motion by Trustee Millerick and a second by Trustee Aguila, the board voted 7-0 in closed session to issue a notice of release to temporary employees identified by the following employee numbers: 9399, 9396, 9381, 9391, 8626, 8816, 9362, 9387. This action was taken pursuant to Education Code Section 44954, Sub B, effective at the end of the 21-22 school year. The board directed the superintendent or designee to send out appropriate legal notices. And since it was a 7-0 vote, I don't have to read the names out. The third item in the closed session with respect to every item of business to be discussed in closed session pursuant to Government Code 54957 and 54957.6, conference with labor negotiator Barbara Varankovich, interim assistant superintendent, human resources, employee organization, Novato Federation of Teachers, otherwise known as NFT. That was information only. The final item with respect to every item of business to be discussed in closed session pursuant to Government Code 54957 and 54957.6, conference with labor negotiator Barbara Varankovich, interim assistant superintendent, human resources, employees organization, California State Employees Association, otherwise known as CSEA. That was information only. And that concludes those items.
All right, thank you for reporting that out, Vice President Butler. So our next agenda item is 7, which is to approve the agenda. So I'm going to ask the board for a motion to approve the agenda. If it is satisfactory for everyone, I need a first and a second to approve tonight's agenda. We have a first from Trustee Jacobson and a second from Trustee Aguila. Thank you. All those in favor of tonight's agenda, 7-4 and 2 advisory votes. So we will proceed without any changes to the agenda tonight, which will bring up item 8, which is public comment on our consent agenda, and we have no public comment on our consent agenda. So we will now move to the approval of our consent agenda. And I wanted to point out to the board that they have a amended copy of item 14E. There was a word struck on the document, so we'll be approving the amended version. That's E. So having said that, I will ask the board if there's any items that they would like to pull prior to us making a motion to accept, or I will accept a motion to accept the entire agenda. Trustee Gasson.
So items 14N and 14O, the lease specs.
N and O. Okay, you want to pull those. Any other items on tonight's agenda? So I will like a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda as amended with 14E and pulling items N and O. Can I have a motion to Trustee Gasson as the first on that? And a second from Trustee Jacobson, thank you. All those in favor of approving tonight's consent agenda? We have 7 in favor and 2 advisory in favor. Thank you very much. And we will now ask Trustee Gasson if she would like to address N and O at this time or to pick them up at a later point.
It was only to make note that accepting both of them with the understanding that there's a couple of areas in the agreement that's attached that will be determined and brought back to us later. So with that noted, I will
Okay.
move to approve and individually or together.
So we have, on those 2 particular agenda items, there's some to be determined information. The paperwork itself is an example at this point, and that information will be completed and be brought forward to the board later when the projects are done. And you just want people to know that we're not approving
Incompleted
incompleted
contracts or
forms, correct,
agreements.
yeah.
Correct.
No, I appreciate that. I think that's good. If people are wondering why we're approving blank checks, they're probably a fair thing to ask why, but in this particular case, it'll come back, so. So having cleared that up, would you like to make a motion to approve 14N and O?
Correct, yes. I move to approve those 2 items.
And I would like a second from Trustee Aguila. Thank you. All those in favor of approving consent item agenda 14N and 14O? All those in favor? I have 7-4, including 2 advisory votes as well. And thank you all very much. The consent agenda has been approved in its entirety. So we're going to keep moving right along here to item number 10, which are announcements by the board superintendent and our student board members. So we will begin with our student board members. So Trustee Reese, if you'd like to go first.
Okay, so the first thing coming up for us would be our senior showcase. So it's kind of like our senior fashion show, just a little bit different. And we will have a couple talent shows going on too with a couple of our school bands playing. This is going to be on March 20th. It's a Sunday, I want to say at 5 p.m. And all the proceeds are going towards a senior prom. So you guys are all more than welcome to come. And then powder puff practice has started. So the cheerleaders have started training their cheerleaders and the football players have started training their powder puff girls too. But I think the game's going to be sometime in early April. And then a club called Bring Change to Mind, which is working on student wellness and mental health, is having something going on at lunch Thursday and Friday. I'm not sure what they're calling it, but they're just promoting wellness. Like they're making essential oils and friendship bracelets and other cool stuff like that. And then there's also going to be a performance by 2 bands on campus called Pass the Sauce and Crush on Life. And they're also going to be performing Thursday and Friday with Bring Change to Mind. And then our garden is going through a couple renovations. So a couple of the special needs students have taken action in our garden, and it's pretty dead right now, but they're planting a bunch of fruits and vegetables and stuff like that just to teach us about cultivating and agriculture. But it's sort of something we haven't been paying attention to, so we're trying to promote that as well so more students get involved. And then with Women's History Month coming up, we're starting to work on our San Marin Stands Against Hate mural. So this started this semester for Black History Month. We just made a mural that says San Marin Stands Against Hate, and then we had a bunch of students put their thumbprints in green and gold on the mural. And then one of our panels is going to be something changing every month depending on what the month represents. Like last month, we were working on a portrait of Ruby Bridges for Black History Month. And then this month, we're going to do a historical figure that's a woman for Women's History Month. That figure has yet to be decided.
All right, thank you. Trustee Garcia.
So we just wanted to say that we appreciate our local businesses for supporting Novato High School. Class of 2023 is having a dine and donate tomorrow. And then class of 2024 is having a dine and donate at Chipotle on Saturday, March 12th. And then on Tuesday, March 8th is International Women's Day. So we are having the opportunity to bring Bree mothers. We're bringing mental health and relevancy activists to host the assembly for 9th and 10th grade female self-identified students. And then I think we have we'll be doing a presentation, or Bree will be doing a presentation called Love the Skin You're In. And it's to bond students together in a hard-hitting conversation about body positivity, look-based competition, racial representation, and enduring the power of sisterhood. And we are really excited to have this opportunity. MSA is having their Young Frankenstein open this weekend, and it runs the following weekend as well. We're really excited to experience this play since it was supposed to be back in January. The math department is planning some activities for March 14th since it is Pi Day. There will be games, free pies throughout the day, and pieing teachers in the face at lunch. MSA dance choreography show is happening the weekend of the 19th as well. It was also originally planned in January. And then currently, we're having students give leadership spirit days ideas, where we have this Google form we sent out all over our social media website, where students have the choices to vote what kind of spirit date they want. And our most popular one is Wear Anything But a Backpack Day. And then this is for our March Spirit Week and rally, which is Friday, March 25th. That is when we will be hosting our annual flag football game, the Hornet Bowl, also known as Powerpuff. This is between juniors and seniors at 7 p.m. under the lights, and this is a senior fundraiser this year. So, yeah.
Well, that's a lot. You guys got a lot going on, so appreciate that. I think I'm looking forward to Young Frankenstein, so I hope it's a
So
good
I had the opportunity at the last board meeting, I was the winner of the golden ticket for yard duty at Pleasant Valley. And so I had the opportunity to, at 8 o'clock, at 8:15 the next morning, go out and greet. This assignment they gave me was to open car doors for children as they step out, so the parent doesn't have to get out of the car, so the cars can move through faster and the child is safe. So I managed the task pretty well. The principal Tony had to coach me a little bit, but it worked out great. And then I went up and I set baskets for a ball game, and the numbers on the asphalt where you put these baskets are not sequential, so it's really much more challenging than you can imagine. So it took me a while to get the baskets with numbers on them on the right spot. And then they thanked me and they let me go to my regular day job. So it turned out to be pretty good. I also had the chance to go honor Mr. Whitburn and the field, and that was quite pleasant. And then over the weekend, Indian Valley College put on a program on the James Webb Telescope. They had an astronomer come in from UC Santa Cruz and do a 2-hour presentation on the whole program, and that was a great program to if you think of our system as K-14 instead of K-12, the community college becomes part of the institution in Novato that serves Novato kids, and it was a great program. Thank you, Mr. President.
I'm glad to hear you survived going back to elementary school.
Now I'm going to make a deal with the next elementary school, and that same vest and whistle and golden ticket's going to appear in this room again. So, but I will be exempt. So hold on to your horses here.
I accept that challenge. Trustee Aguila.
Yes, thank you. I wasn't here last board meeting, but since my previous board meeting, I attended some PTA meetings via Zoom, and thank you to our superintendent for getting out there to the teachers and the schools and all the sites. And I also attended a funeral for James Kazarian, and he was my math teacher at Novato High. back in the 80s. And he was the first minority teacher back in the 80s from Armenia. And it's just kind of cool how I kept in touch with him all these years. But so he passed away at Christmas, actually. And I also attended the Golden Bell Committee, and so we're moving forward with that. And we have, I had dinner with a trustee from College of Marin, and the trustee told me that, so I think we all got postcards saying that classes are free for College of Marin. So as of that that dinner time, I don't know if they're still doing that, but I think it's good to share that and let people know to, you want free classes, including food, and this is all due to their COVID one-time money. So who knows how long it'll last, but I just wanted to spread the word and take advantage of that. So that's it.
I appreciate that. Trustee Jacobson.
Yeah, I think it was the day after our last meeting, there was a California School Board Association legislative conference, and many of us were there talking with our local legislators about funding and the other needs of our schools, and that's really an important place to put some energy for all of us. I also went to the field dedication, and I'm so excited for spring sports. We have so many great teams that are getting out there, and I look forward to attending games.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Gasson.
Thank you. Thanks for the reminder I forgot about CSBA too. I attended the District Special Education Advisory Committee meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we discussed creating more awareness around neurodiversity. The Neurodiversity Week is coming up March 21st to the 25th, and I'll have more information for everybody next meeting. But Dedication to Special Education is also offering during that week a free viewing online of the R Word movie, and they'll be offering a follow-up discussion panel on that. The movie touches, I don't know if people are familiar with the movie, but it touches on the use of the N-word as well and reminds people of the importance and understanding the impact of our words. I also attended the San Marin High School baseball field dedication to Mark Whitburn on Saturday. It was very moving. I enjoyed listening and hearing about someone who I had not known from the past. So it was really moving time for all of us, and it was great to hear all of those fun stories. And I wanted to acknowledge Lisa Valera's work on the program. It was all done very nicely. Tomorrow's going to be a little bit busy, but an exciting day. I'm going to be over at Olive. I'm looking forward to seeing the new space and presenting for Dr. Seuss's birthday and Read Across America. I'll be reading to a couple of classes, and then attending the Housing Element webinar that was posted. And I'm also hoping to catch UC Davis history. UC Davis is offering a history of Russia and Ukraine, which was sent out by Mary Jane Burke. So I'm hoping to do that as well. I think that's at 4. And finally, there is a webinar through Marin County SELPA on Thursday, noon, with Carl Corbin, who's General Counsel for School and College Legal Services. It's an open Q&A forum, and more information can be found on their webpage, and there's a registration link through Eventbrite. So I'm hoping to go to that as well.
That's a lot. SELPA is the special education. So thanks for attending that. Trustee Mack.
Like the rest of us, I attended the JLAC presentation and meetings. Forget if it was last week or the week before, but anyway, it was good to see our legislators and talk to them about the needs for better funding. The list goes on, as we know. As well, I had a chance to get out to the San Marin baseball field and softball field to take a look at it, talk to the coaches there. Was unfortunately not able to go to the event on Saturday because I was at another baseball event in Southern California. And very much looking forward to seeing Young Frankenstein Friday night as well. We'll be attending the Housing Element presentation tomorrow.
Great, thank you. Trustee Butler.
Nothing new to add. I did several of the things that were mentioned, so I don't have anything additional.
I'll keep it brief as well. I just want to let you know that I did attend the School Fuel board meeting yesterday, and School Fuel is the DBA, and DBA is an acronym for Doing Business As, because they are really the Novato Public Education Foundation. And if there's ever a good group of hardworking community members sticking up for public education and doing whatever they can to support our schools, you'd be hard pressed to find a better group. And I just think if plug them and to just let the community know that there are ways to support our schools through the School Fuel Public Education Foundation. So having said that, Superintendent.
Okay, just a couple, because several of us repeated what we have been doing all weekend and all last week. So I wanted to make sure that you all get over to Olive. They moved back in Saturday, so after Mark's event, I went over, and they had a group of volunteers there that set up the entire office, the front office, the teacher's room, I mean, everything. It was beautiful, and you're just going to want to stay there when you go. It's really, really lovely. Also, Danny, I'm going to need your help with the pronunciation of this name. Kikoa Megdayag, is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so, Kakoa.
Yeah. So he won in wrestling. He was 7th in the state, and that hasn't happened in Novato since 1992. And that person was Dan Berman. I don't know if anybody knows that person. I was not familiar, but this young man is only a junior, so he has a whole nother year, and he fought his way because his seeding was lower than what he finished, and so it was just a thrill. And I think when we have an opportunity to honor that, I would really like to do that. I don't know, Danny, do you have anything else to say about him? He seems like a great kid.
He's a really nice kid. From whenever I see him around, he always just kind of greets you, from what I know. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Then the other thing I want us to just keep remembering in our prayers and our thoughts, our families from San Marin that were in the accident. And I'd like to request to close the meeting tonight in honor of the Wilhelm family. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. So we're going to move on to our item 11, which is presentations, and our first is the community donation to School Fuel. And Jan, you're going to
Yes. Okay, Mike and Damien, come up, and School Fuel, please come up. We have these talented musicians that are still playing, and they I don't know, you can't even get in when they're at Hop Monk. I'm not sure why not. It's a sold out house. And so they are generously donating some money tonight. I'm going to let them do that. So Mike, do you want to introduce the whole band, and then Damien, you too?
Yeah, my name's Damien Dale. I'm the lead singer and rhythm guitar player. We have Mike Malone, who's playing bass. Ryan Cloney is our drummer, and Jeff Fisher is our lead guitar player. We're all proud dads of Novato students. We've been together for a while now. We've played a lot of benefit shows here and there, mostly ones that we've been asked to play. This time we thought we'd get a little proactive. We called the Hop Monk. We asked them if we could do a benefit for our Novato schools. And with all the ticket sales going to School Fuel, they loved the idea. And it was a great show. It got postponed many times due to COVID, but we had it in December.
I thought you would have done a better job.
I should. I start singing Born to Run or something.
Should have brought your roadie.
So we had the show in December. It was sold out. We talked to the Hop Monk after the show. They said, let's do it again next year, which is this year now. So we're going to do it again on November 5th, 8 p.m., the Hop Monk. If anybody's listening, come on down. We'd love to have you. So this is the check we'd like to present for $4,000 to School Fuel. One more point is our guitar player, Jeff Fisher, also is during the day. It's not our day jobs. This is just something that we're doing just for fun. He works for Disney, and Disney has a corporate sponsorship match program. So they're going to match this. The paperwork's in progress. So there's going to be another $4,000 check coming. With the corporate paperwork, might take a few weeks, but it's in the works. So we're happy to do it. We're happy to do it again in November, and thanks for having us.
We're so grateful.
Thank
Thank
Thanks,
you
you guys.
so much.
Susan or Kate, would either one of you like to say something on behalf of the school fuel, or if you want to, you're welcome. Otherwise, we'll take the money and run.
Well, I just want to say thank you guys very much. We had no idea that this was even being organized, and we're super excited to help promote the next one. And we're really moved by your commitment to supporting visual and performing arts, especially for our kids, because they need it, and all of the resources that we can get to help improve their experiences in the school, give them more supplies, give them the instruments, whatever, it really makes a big difference in their lives. So thank you so much.
Art
Thank
supporting
you.
art is amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing your talents
Really appreciate it. And
to the band.
And we want tickets next time, so it can't get sold out. Yeah.
backstage.
Oh, what? Thanks so much.
Guys. Appreciate it. So that's great. Next is staying on presentations item 11. We're going to have Lou Sutton Elementary School present and Myra Patel. We're looking forward to hearing what's happening.
What's the right height? Okay.
Do you have a?
Apparently not, because I can't get it to work, so I'm fired before I started. Do you have this trick? I was looking. I do know the password. All right.
Thank you. All right. Good evening, Superintendent Derby and Board of Trustees. My name is Mira Patel, and I'm the proud principal of Lou Sutton Elementary School. I have Miss Daniela Miravalli with me today. She is one of our first grade teachers. She's been at Lou Sutton for 6 years, and we are very lucky to have her. So really excited she joined me. We are excited to be here and share a little bit about our school. This year we participated in the Great Kindness Challenge, which is a nationwide week-long challenge where we dedicated the week to teaching students about kindness and the many ways in which we can show and feel it. We kicked off the week with one of our monthly reading nights where we read a few stories, and then we created some kindness confetti to spread around campus. And then throughout the week, students focused on care, respect, gratitude, and inclusivity through random acts of kindness.
We felt it was important to participate in this challenge because research shows kindness changes the brain by the experience of kindness. Kindness is best learned by feeling it so they can reproduce it. When kindness is taught in schools, students feel a greater sense of belonging, increased acceptance of their peers, and again, a greater sense of gratitude. Watching our students engage in a week full of kindness was empowering, and we look forward to seeing kindness continue to spread at Lou Sutton and throughout our community. We hope you enjoy this video demonstrating how cheetahs choose kindness.
Uh-oh, now it's going to be on me. No. I was using the mouse pad.
If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need.
What does kindness mean to you?
It means that you should be nice to someone even if they're not being nice to you.
And I know when I need it, I can count on you. Like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh.
What does it mean to be kind?
Treat people how you want to be treated, which is the golden rule. And just be nice to everybody. And you won't start fights. You'll just make a lot of friends.
Find out what we're made of. We are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count.
How can you show kindness? You can show kindness if someone's sitting alone, you can go sit by them.
Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. You'll always have my shoulder when you cry. I'll never let go.
Spreading kindness is a thing that everyone does. Maybe if you go up to someone and you see that they're sad, why don't you go up and play with them and maybe they'll be more happy. Make them happy and you'll be happy also.
And I know when I need it, I can count on you. Like 4, 3, 2, you'll be there. Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. You can count on me, cause I can count on you. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your past said. Boy, you got a friend in me. Yeah, you got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got trouble, and I got 'em too. There isn't anything we wouldn't do for you. We stick together, see it through, 'cause you got a friend in me. Everybody clap your hands. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me.
More? No? That's
That's it.
That's great. So
Thank you.
that was terrific. I'm always happy to see our little guys learning, and kindness is a good subject.
Right now, I think it's pretty on topic.
I think it's really important right now. Good night. Board questions, comments, Trustee Aguila?
So I think this is wonderful, and it's so great that you're promoting this and teaching the students about the importance of kindness, and also knowing that when you're kind, your mind, as you mentioned, it opens up, and you're able to learn better. The chains that you did, the kindness chain. When I was co-chair with Michelle Sheehan for the Bullying Prevention Committee under the Novato Blue Ribbon Coalition, we did something similar. And then we went ahead and the committee went ahead and we went to the schools, to different schools, and we got all the chains, the strips from all the schools, and we connected them. And then the district, we were able to display them here. And so we had that all over. So, if you can, it would be wonderful to extend it from your school, starting at your school, and then I'll be happy to facilitate with that, to go to all the elementary schools and even high schools. Why not? Mm-hmm. And maybe have it here, just display for a little bit, just to show how we're all united in the chain of kindness. So that would be nice.
For
if-
sure.
If that's something
We'd
that.
be interested. Just let us know.
Yeah.
Great idea.
So let me know.
All right, Trustee Jacobson.
Thank you guys so much. Coco's at Lucetton, obviously, and I remember her telling me about the chain, and I actually markedly noticed she was in a better mood that week because it was just so front and center, and it was beautiful. Thank you guys.
Thank you. We definitely felt it that week. It was pretty amazing.
Any other questions or comments? Student trustees, you guys are good? Okay.
I just want to say something.
Superintendent.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we acknowledge Danielle and Mira because they've been really taking care of Dylan from the time of the accident to now, almost every day. They're in contact with the mom, they're in contact with Dylan, they're showing photos. I get to see these photos and the progress, and what they experienced was one of the most difficult things you experience as an administrator and as a teacher. And they are both stars, and I just want to publicly acknowledge them. They're amazing women.
And thank you to all of your staff and everyone at Blue Sutton helped put that together, I think, with team effort. So appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next agenda item, which is 12. This is non-agenda public comment. And this is when we have an opportunity for members of the public to address the school board on subjects that are not on our agenda. And because they're not on our agenda, the board isn't able to comment or respond to anything during this period of the meeting. So we will go ahead and proceed. There is a 3-minute limit per speaker and a total of 20 minutes allotted for this part of tonight's agenda. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Our first speaker is Miriam Levine. And just a heads up to Jeannie Pera will be next.
Hello, President and members of the board. I'm Miriam. I've spoken before. I'm back again. I just wanted to let you all know I drove by Sutton today, and I noticed the elementary school kids playing on the playground. As you know, it was 70 degrees, they were masked, and my heart broke. These kids who are the least susceptible to contracting COVID wind up being our community scapegoats, even after Newsom and the LA governor was seen at the Super Bowl without masks. The state has eased indoor mask mandates for the vaccinated and unvaccinated alike today. Why then must we wait until 3/11 at 11:59 p.m.? That's a Friday. It's like a tease for them to have to wait until Monday, the 14th, to be able to remove their masks. Why are we putting this onus on our children to protect adults who might be in fear of contracting COVID? If the children are able to congregate outside without masks, what will these extra 2 weeks do? Are you expecting it to stop the spread, which is not caused by children to begin with? Please remove the masks from the children ASAP. We don't believe that there's any valid reason for them to wait an extra 2 weeks, especially since other school districts in California have removed these mandates already early in February. Why do we have to wait for random dates from our politicians to dictate what the schools should do? Why require parent volunteers to be jabbed? Why require only the jab to attend the prom? Why impose harm on children to protect teachers and adults around them? We don't consent to vax mandates on our students or parent volunteers at school either. We support medical freedom, and we support the parents' right to choose what's right for their children. We do not want to co-parent with NUSD or the government. A study released Monday showed the effectiveness of the Pfizer shots on 5 to 11-year-olds was only 12% over a 7-week period. The study examined the infection rates and hospitalization rates in over 350,000 kids ages 5 to 11 and over 850,000 kids ages 12 to 17. The rate of COVID infections in the unvaccinated group was 70 per 100,000 kids. That means that 12,500 children would need to get vaccinated to prevent one infection.
Thank you for your comment. Janine Pera is next, followed by Kim O'Brien. You want to check the mic? Okay. We want it.
Does that sound better? Is that the right height or no? Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I didn't do it.
It's a rock star. It's on. Being cranky.
Okay. Hello. I will start. Marin County Schools' 32-point plan states the following. Any substitutes, contractors, visitors, volunteers working directly with students should be boosted if eligible. Notice it says should, not required. If this is the case, why is the school district requiring this? Who made this decision? Also, why are you requiring proof of vaccination for students to attend the senior prom? Here are some questions I posed to our county board of supervisors. What if you were told by a friend that a COVID-injected youth, 7 years old, suffered from a brain hemorrhage and had to have emergency brain surgery? What if your friend tells you her community college teacher had a heart attack in his classroom and received CPR from a student and died on the way to the hospital? What if 2 weeks after your friend received a COVID booster, she developed an aneurysm in her leg and died from it 2 months later? What if your previously healthy friend, who is a health practitioner here, suffered from chest pains and extreme fatigue after receiving a second COVID injection, and now her employer says she's required to get a booster if she wants to keep her job? What if your friend tells you his recently COVID-boosted colleague collapsed at work due to a heart attack and died 3 days later? All of the above is true. These are my friends who live in this county. I'm sorry, I had an ending here. All of this is true, and these are my friends who live in the county. Are you going to continue mandating proof of vaccination now that you've been made aware of these facts, that these injections can cause severe injury and death? This is the short list. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is Kim O'Brien and then Damien.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time. I too am concerned about the vaccination of our children here in Nevada and across the country. I know there's a big push with school districts and money attached to provide clinics. Should be an option. And the latest statistics is the efficiency of the vaccine for 5 and 11-year-olds is 12%. If we vaccinate children from 6 months to 4 years old, then the vaccination or the vaccines will be on the childhood vaccination schedule, and all pharmaceutical companies producing all of these injections will be held completely there's no going after the vaccine. So that's a concern. 77 is just report looking at all-cause mortality on stratified ages, and I brought the age that the children are here that we are working with under 18 and 51 more times likely to die of COVID vaccine than they are of COVID. So I'm retired. I think if I was working full-time, I would not be aware of this information because it is censored. People who are talking about it are being gaslit. The doctors are being hunted down with their licenses who are treating COVID patients successfully. So I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of those stories. Please do your homework as we watch out for our children. I'm grateful that you are going to get rid of the mask. Or the sooner the better, because I do have a big concern for the children with speech and language, the way that they are using health,
as well as the students who are second language learners. It's much more difficult to understand somebody in another language when somebody is wearing a mask and you can't hear them. So thank you for removing the mask mandate. The sooner the better, it's not a plus. And thank you.
All right, thank you. And our final non-agenda item speaker is Damien.
There's no mic. I can speak here so people can hear me.
Maybe
this mic works.
Maybe give it a minute.
Hello, hello?
We might have a mic working now.
Hello. Do you want to hold it at the, this, you want to hold it right here?
Damien, would you mind letting the board know your last name and your city of residence?
That's not, I mean, it's not necessary.
I'm asking, I'm not insisting. So the answer is no?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, the answer is no. All right.
Yeah, hold on. This is too low. I don't want to bend down. Huh? Okay. Thank you. Hi, my name is Damien. Hello, Miss Derby. She doesn't know my last name. She taught me when I was this years old. Okay. Damien, born and raised in Marin City, Tam High graduate. As you know, the San Marin School, first, God bless the families affected by the accident. Prayers to those families. The San Marin High School has given Tam High School, it's been a horror movie. It's been horrid. It's been attacks on students for decades. I was attacked verbally by students at San Marin for several times on a football field, at strip malls here. They drive by their big trucks and yell, different words out. I don't need to repeat. You shake your head, but my issue is with the board with doing something about it. We have, it's been ongoing. My parents went through it. I went through it. Kids now are going through it. All right. Football field, off the football field. Oh, in 1997, I was in when the kids at San Marin were chanting the N-word. I was there. I was, 22 years old? So my question to the board is, as far as accountability, what are you going to do about? I thought the board had done more back then to offset problems that would be happening now. So hopefully that wouldn't be happening now. But what will this board do? Not waiting on the. I don't want you to say you'll wait on the investigation that's happening now. There's no need to wait on that investigation. Put something in place today going forward to protect kids, to protect black families, black children from further attacks. You can do your part. You can't stop it, but you can do your part for accountability for the families. God bless the kids that do it, but the district has to do more. You must do more. Get out ahead of it now. Don't wait for the investigation. I've been to the school, San Marin. I talked to the principal. He was standoffish. He gave me a few pieces of paper, but the few pieces of paper, it was nothing as far as accountability. So again, this is no myth for the people who think it's not happening. It has happened. My parents went through it, uncles, aunts. It's horrible. To the last point, for the incidents that you've heard about, that I'm telling you about, and the investigations happening now, that's just a little bit of what you hear about what actually happens. It happens far, far more than that. Far, far more than that. Only a few instances get to you or to you. It happens often. So, board, please act. Thank you.
And thank you for your comments tonight. Okay, we have to move on to our next item, which is 13. These are the discussion action items. And the first item is A, and that's approval of a security camera system district standard. And our facilities director, Mike Willard, and our IT director, Tim Rocco, will present.
Thank you. Superintendent, trustees, good evening. I must say I'm rather excited to be speaking before 7 o'clock. And in an effort to follow Lou Sutton and show kindness, I'd like to thank Ellen for showing me how to turn the laptop on and off. So tonight, we're here as a follow-on to what we presented last board meeting, which we provided an update sort of on the whole security system for the district. And tonight, we're ready to present to you a recommendation for security camera system standard, which is very exciting. This is a camera system we will be installing at all school sites, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, all school sites. And tonight, we're going to go through a few specifics to show you the process of how we got to this recommendation. And then the really neat part is we're going to have a demonstration. But I'd like to recognize Tim Rocco, the IT director, who's going to help, and also Dana Lewis, who's a systems analyst, but also the project manager for IT for this project. And she's done most of, if not all the work. I was told I was just the eye candy for this project. So, but what tonight we'd like to do is just go through, and Tim's going to take over in a second and kind of go through the evaluation process, the criteria that we use, and the recommended vendor, and then the exciting part, which is a demonstration. And I'll step back in and just remind you of some of the milestones that we have coming up and how it folds into all of our sites, and then, of course, answer any questions you might have before we request officially your approval of the system. With that, I will turn it over to Mr. Rocco.
Good evening, trustees. Thanks for having us. I'm just going to run through. I know your time is valuable, so I'm going to hit a couple points on the process that we went through in evaluating the camera system situation. So, to start with, we evaluated the existing camera system and the needs for a camera system going forward. We reviewed feasibility of upgrading the existing camera system, which was something that we didn't go down too far because we quickly learned that that was something that would have needed to have been completely overhauled. After that, we investigated available technology. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. We down-selected 3 vendors to evaluate a camera system and equipment, and then we received input from other schools to find out what they were doing. Here's a list of the criteria that we looked at as we evaluated different camera systems. Life cycle cost, product warranty, system expandability, staff support requirements, ease of use for end users and IT, camera functionality, storage requirements, data downloads or streaming video, and its impact that it would have on the network. Remote accessibility, advanced features, the contracting type and how we were able to purchase it, and use in other schools. The results of that process led to, we researched security camera systems and vendors currently on the market. We reviewed cameras and systems from 3 vendors and developed comparative analysis using that evaluation criteria. The system that we have selected is called Verkada. So Dana is going to come up here and she's going to show you a little bit about how that program works.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. While I get adjusted to the new computer, but one of the things that really stood out for us about Verkada is the ease of use and the availability of it. So you can see in our old system, we actually had to install custom software on any administrator that needed to use the cameras. They had to be either on the school property or they had to be VPNing to our network. So it's very difficult to access the cameras and the footage. What you're going to see right away is that I'm on any laptop. I'm going to a website so I can access this footage whether I'm here or if there's an incident after hours on the weekends, our administrators can access it from wherever they are. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. Ah.
Oh boy. Let's try this.
If I can get my Mac, I can screen share really
I know.
easily.
Yeah, I'm really thanking you right now. You're doing a great job. All right, I need to end the show, I guess. Oh, we have to end the show.
Ah, that looks like what I'm looking for. All right.
So when you first log in, you come to the command center, and we only have 2 demo cameras, but you can use your imagination. And each of these would be our school sites and the various cameras within our school sites. So we're going to start with, we put a demo camera in our IT office, so we're going to go ahead and look at that initially. One of the nice things about these cameras is they store 30 days of footage. So our current cameras, we're storing between 7 and 10 days, and if we need to store for longer, we have to look at upgrading our hard drives, upgrading our servers. So it's really great that the base level is 30 days of storage. We can come down here, you can scroll down, and you can see here are my 30 days right here. So if I get a call that there's an incident on February 25th, I can just come ahead and click on this date. I can pick the time. Let's do 3 p.m. And I can immediately view the footage from that day and time. You're going to see a lot of the IT department tonight. The other thing that we can do is look at motion. So let's give an example that we have a camera that's pointed towards a storage facility that has expensive equipment on it. And there's been reports of theft, right? So I can actually, on the camera, I can actually pick an area of interest and monitor for motion on that area. So right now I'm highlighting that door area. If I click on that, you see down here, it brings me all the clips where there's been motion in that area. And our offices are busy all day long, so you're going to see a lot of clips, but if we were trying to investigate an incident in a situation like this, you would have fewer clips, and you can scroll down and you can see, okay, you know, this is what's going on in that particular area. The other thing we can do is search by people. One of the nice features about these newer Verkada cameras is they actually have facial recognition detection. So when I click on people, it's going to show me the various people that have been in our offices. And up here, it gives you kind of a preview thumbnail of the faces. So let's use an example. At a school site, somebody reports a suspicious person. Let's say that they have a mustache and a beard, and they look like this. So again, I clicked on that face. You can see it'll give me all the clips of that person on this particular camera, or I can actually search all the cameras that we have and see that person. If it were, we needed to escalate it a little higher, like this is somebody who's not allowed to be on our campus for legal reasons or other reasons, you can actually create a profile with either this photo or a photo that you upload, and you can set notifications. So an administrator could get a notification either on their cell phone or an email if that person steps into view on one of our cameras. So let's go ahead and look at a little bit of this footage. So let's say we don't understand what this person is doing in our office, so we're going to go ahead and look at the footage. This happens to be very innocuous, but let's say this was important and we needed to actually download this and send it to another administrator or law enforcement. So it's super easy just to archive the footage. So you just click on the little download button. I can choose the start time and the end time of the footage. I can type a little note as to what it's about because we're going to have this archive and I can go back and reference it. And then I go ahead and click archive and it starts saving it off. I'm going to come back here. So if I want to view the archives like the one I just started, I can come up here and this is all the footage that I've archived. Now I said the cameras, the storage footage for 30 days. The archive is stored unlimited for an unlimited time as long as we own the camera system. So we can go ahead and keep these events. So let's grab one of the events in our archive. And let's say this was an event that was important that I needed to share with another administrator or law enforcement. So I can come over here, I can click on the share button. I can share it by text, I can share it by email, I can send somebody a link. I can actually put parameters on what I'm sharing. So I can share them a link that expires in an hour. So if I don't want them to have unlimited access to it, I can set a day, a week, a custom time. I can also give them access to look at the video only, not download it, or I can give them access to look at it as well as download it. And then I can send it to whatever contact I need to send it to. So one of the things that we struggle with today is the ability to share video when it's appropriate with the administrators or other people that it's appropriate. And this is Verkada does a really nice job of that. Okay. Last thing I want to show you is kind of the stats. So we can see when there's been motion on a campus, whether it's vehicles or people. Fortunately, in our IT office, you'll see that we have no vehicles in our office. That's a really good thing. You can see how long the cameras have been online. And you can see the traffic. Tim mentioned a little bit on the impact on our network. You see these big spikes here? These spikes are actually at midnight, and that's when we do the bulk of the uploading. We can set the time to the cloud so that it's not impacting a lot of our traffic during the day-to-day when the students excuse me, are on campus. But we can set the upload time to midnight for the least amount of impact. Okay, and let's go over and let's take a look at our other camera. So the other camera we have, ideally, it would be mounted outdoors, but these are loaner cameras, so we didn't want to go ahead and drill holes and everything. So this is actually through a window, so in reality, it would be a lot clearer. But one of the things with the outdoor cameras is that instead of, we looked at people before, in this case, you can look at vehicles. So just like it kind of gave you the thumbnails of the people that we saw before, you can actually search by vehicles. So if we had a report of a red truck doing donuts in the, ruining one of our grass fields, we could actually come to the camera and we can say, okay, I want to look for a vehicle that's red, and that's a truck. And I can see in the last 30 days what red trucks have been in view of this camera. And then I go ahead and just click on it. I can actually view the video. I can download it, as I said before. Another great feature of the camera is you can add additional cameras in the same view. So let's pretend that we had multiple cameras in a parking lot. We saw the truck driving off one way and we needed to follow it. So I can just click this add button. I can add a second camera into my view, and it sets both cameras on the same time. Now these cameras are really far apart, so this is not going to help, but you can imagine that you could actually see then whether it's a person or a truck moving from camera to camera to if you were investigating an incident. Okay, the other thing, and this, the demo cameras don't have this, but they actually have license plate reader cameras also. So just like you saw those little thumbnails of all those people, we would have thumbnails of all the license plate if this is something the district wants to purchase. So it's very, again, helpful in investigating claims or issues, or if we have a license plate that we need to track. The other thing I wanted to mention in terms of notifications is we talked about how you can notify if a person of interest is on campus. Another great notification you can do is if there's motion on a camera. An example is we went down to San Rafael, we looked at their camera system, and they've been having trouble with break-ins at their maintenance yard. So you can set up a camera and you can set hours. So let's say after 8 p.m., there shouldn't be somebody in the maintenance yard. So you can set an alert on that camera to notify you anytime there's movement or an event on the camera during the hours from 8 p.m., say, to 5 p.m. Well, they were able to, with that, the director was at home. Somebody broke into the maintenance yard. He got an alert on his phone. He was able from home to view the footage live, so he saw what was going on, call the police, all without leaving his home, and get the incident taken care of. So it's those kind of features that we really found with the Verkada camera, kind of made it our top choice and what we are recommending today to NUSD. The one thing I do want to add too is one of the things that's always important to you and to us is security. And the co-founder of Verkada was also the co-founder of Meraki, and they're really big on security. So whether it's two-factor authentication when you log in, end-to-end encryption when we're uploading events from the cameras to the cloud, and even an audit log so that anybody who's in the camera system, like I am now, there's a trail of what I've been doing. So if Tim needed to hold me accountable to something, he can see what I'm doing in the camera system. So those are kind of the overview of the camera system. I think one of the things I want to hit on that Tim had said of one of the high points of the system is the expandability of it. By having a cloud-based system where we don't have equipment and software, it's easy for us to add 1 camera or 20 camera or 200 cameras. So that all the bond work that we did, the infrastructure, everything is in place, and we can choose as a district to figure out our plan going forward. But the expandability is really easy. We don't have to buy any more hardware other than the camera itself on our back end. So I just wanted to highlight that. there anything you gentlemen want to add?
I got one more slide to finish up.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Tim. So the last information I wanted to present to the board was sort of an update on the next steps and milestones. And again, these numbers, these dates pertain to the security system itself and the fact that the two sites that we have done a security evaluation plan on are the two high schools. And again, these dates are in flux, and I'm pretty sure they're going to slip because of timing of us getting information back from contractors, one thing we can't control. But we're trying to move ahead as fast as possible. But the next board meeting or two, we hope to bring back a recommendation for the level of security at the high schools based on that security plan that was done by Guidepost, and also the MOT facility because of the issues we've had. The example she gave, I think, was for Sanderfeld, but we've actually had that happen a few times at our own site. Next, after that, we'd like to bring back the contract or approval of a project to actually install the equipment at our high schools in the MOT field, again, based on the approval of the level and that security plan. And then following that would be the actual purchase of equipment, which is a big purchase out of the bond project for the IT upgrades. And then lastly would be to have somebody install that equipment after we purchased it. Again, this is strictly just tied to the fact that we've got the security plans done at the high schools. In a parallel effort, based on the board's recommendation last meeting, we've reached out to that contractor Guidepost, requested quotes to do security evaluations at our elementary schools and at our middle schools. I'm waiting any day now to get that quote back. As soon as we get that, we'll bring that to the board for approval to go out and get that work going and hopefully have those plans done near the end of the school year, maybe over the summer. There might be a chance of getting some of that security done based on the priority of the board at some other sites as well. We will continue to update you on that information as it becomes available. With that, I know we've taken up a little more time than we were allowed, but I'd like to open up to any questions, and I will defer any technical questions to the technical crew here. One last thing, I apologize. Just one reminder to the board that the policy for this is being brought to the board separately in a future board meeting.
Okay. So we got some interest here, so hang in there. And when you say policy, you meant operational policy.
Correct.
Trustee Jacobson, then we'll go Trustee Aguila and Trustee Miller.
I didn't have my hand up, but that was a fantastic presentation, and this stuff looks amazing.
And then she took what I was going to say. We were just saying that all those details about the Verkada was excellent because you touched on it. You know, I was like, well, what about the, well, she just answered that. But I do have one quick question, and it was triggered by your comments about the camera that I saw when I was coming in and wondered if I was being videotaped, that it was behind the glass. And so my question is, thinking I have kids at high school level, you know, they're going to want to do something maybe to them. So are the outside cameras, do they get put into something where they don't get harmed? Or, I mean, I know we'll see somebody coming up if they're trying to mess with it, but what, in terms of making sure that there's no tampering with them or spray painting them or whatever?
Yeah, so they are, a lot of them you'll see, even the existing cameras are mounted very high, so it would be difficult. You would see somebody up on the ladder. Plus, we would capture the footage of the person, you know, putting up a ladder, getting a broom, looking up at the camera, trying to get it. So they're not, no camera is, you know, 100% tamper-proof, but the mounting, the way that it's mounted, the height and the location it's mounted are all really important factors to keep them safe from any tampering or, yeah. And remember, you have more than one. So it would be very hard for somebody to mess with one camera when there's others nearby that will also capture the footage.
Okay. Sorry about that. I thought I saw Julie's hand go up, but and I missed you. But so, Trustee Aguila.
Yeah, so thank you so much for this presentation. Years back, we've been trying to have the cameras on our sites, and wanted to make sure that, and for some reason the company OHO didn't work out, or you can't remember the details. No need to go back and figure out why it didn't work. Just wanted to make sure that this one will work and go forward, and that we learned from the past trials. So my question is, this is way overdue. I know there's going to be more discussion, but I wanted to make a motion to, and it's early, I know, but I wanted to make a motion because, we have very valuable equipment, the facilities are new, and more importantly, the safety of our students is number one. And so I'm excited to do that. And so, just wanted to bring it to the table. Thank you.
So just let me just check in with the board. Is anyone else going to have any comments after trustee questions or so forth? So I have a motion then that I need to ask if there's a second. And I assume the motion is to approve the recommendation to move forward?
Yes. So I make a motion to approve the I don't have my glasses on, so I'm sorry. The Vorkuta security camera system of the district standard or to installed and use at district sites for now.
Okay. Can I have a second for that? If there's any objection, we're still going to talk about it, but since I have a motion, I need a second from Trustee Gasson, sorry. And Trustee Milrick, I wanted to recognize you. You had a comment and some questions.
Yeah, questions. First, the last time we looked at this issue 5 years ago or 10 years ago, maybe I'm losing track of time. Vorkuta was a brand new company. And so the uncertainty of, is this even a company to be looked at? But they were doing some very innovative things that other camera companies were not. And now that time has passed, and at least 3 years, I'm glad to see that what looked like a great promise for that company has turned into something that you guys think is a reliable, viable solution. So the measure before us has $0 attached to it, but it does say we're adopting the Vorkuta system as a district standard. Now, the problem with adopting a standard that says our district standard is Chevy buses, you close the door to competitive bidding from every other vendor by merely making a statement like that. And in fact, we're naming them, I believe, I don't see their actual, Vorkuta, yeah, their name is in the actual recommendation. So we're foreclosing competition, which is the normal mechanism that public bodies use to get a good value. Mike knows this better than I do, that's his daily life. So what mechanism are we using in terms of negotiation or other vehicles to assure that we're getting a viable, a fair price for what we need? Is there some other vendor that maybe isn't as fancy but is better for Novato? So I guess the question, before I'm going to vote yes for this, I want to hear that we've done our due diligence to protect the financial interests of our community.
Absolutely. And the staff here has done a great job of kind of doing their own competitive analysis. But to answer your question, Trustee Milrick, Vorkuta is on a CMAS or equivalent type of contract, and we actually buy the equipment through another approved vendors. AMS is an example of one. So it's been through a competitive process a few times, and it's being used currently at San Rafael High School District, Windsor School District, and Petaluma City Schools. It's a very, as you mentioned, very commonly used now, highly recommended for school sites as a security system. But we are definitely following all California contract regulations and making sure we are getting that best value.
Okay. Great. So that's the first question. The second is, and it's probably for a future meeting, clearly there's complicated issues. On one hand, we know people have cut catalytic converters out of our equipment sitting in our corporation yard, and we'd love to catch them. And so this will help. We know that historically, the current system, we've had kids have gone up and done donuts with their pickups in our fields at San Marin, and we caught them because of the prior system. Clearly, we have $1 billion in real estate value for Nevada Unified School District, and security is an important aspect of it for the physical plant, but also for the student safety issue. We have seen cases where police have had to come on campus to protect kids from events, the availability of this kind of footage and information to advise those public safety officers has been absolutely critical. So I think we need this. We did it before 20 years ago. This is the upgrade, but it needs to be on every campus because there are stories of elementary schools with problems of intruders, just as there are stories of high school. So clearly you've already done the contract. You're in the middle of the high school, but clearly this needs to be for every campus. I'm taking it that this board agrees with that statement. And if not, somebody's going to stand up and say so. So, and then the issue of how about student privacy on campus? And that's the policy question. You can't put a camera in a bathroom, but you can in a public quad. You can at the perimeters of the campus. And that is a discussion you're going to bring forward for us to look at what other districts have done and the law requires, and we're going to do that conversation later. Is that
Yes, I'm going to
correct?
defer to the expertise of our Assistant Superintendent Standring over there, who's going to bring that particular item to you at a future board meeting.
Yeah, because clearly that's important to a lot of people, both ways. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, the fiscal issue is my primary concern. This company's established itself over the last 5 years as credible, and our neighboring school districts using it, so I will support the motion when we vote on it. Thank you very much for the work.
Appreciate your comments, Trustee Millbrook, and bringing to light that it's a district-wide plan. And Trustee Aguila, did you have another question or comment?
Yeah, but Trustee Miller covered it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then, staff, is there any more closing comments or remarks you want to make?
Just one remark to Trustee Murrick's comment. As I escorted a skateboard professional team off of Olive School on Saturday during the sit-up, you missed that fun. It definitely proved the point that we need a robust security system at all of our school sites.
Okay, so then I'm prepared to call the vote if you guys are ready. All those in favor? We have 7-4 plus one advisory vote, and we will accept the recommendation. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being
Thanks,
here tonight. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to item B, which is approval of resolution number 2021-22, reassignment of a certificated administrator, and our interim HR director, Barbara Frankovich. I'm going to get that out. Thank you for being here, and
You're welcome.
take it away.
And don't worry about Frankovich. Lots of people say it all kinds of ways. I've heard them all. First item of business, the district has an administrator whose position has been funded through grant funds. The education code requires that individual or individuals, if there were more, fortunately in this case there's only one, that the board take action to reassign that administrator to a position consistent with his or her credential. The resolution in front of you does just that. And if you pass the resolution, then the district's Human Resources Department will prepare the necessary documents and provide that notice to the administrator in question prior to March 15th.
Okay, so do we have any questions? Trustee Milk.
I'll move resolution number 23, 2021, 2022 for the reassignment.
I have
A
first.
second.
I have a second from Trustee Aguila, and one more ask for questions, comments. Seeing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor of this item? We have 7 affirmative and 1 advisory vote. Thank you very much. So we will approve that recommendation, and don't go anywhere because the next item is approval of resolution number 22-21-22, tiebreaker criteria process. Take it away.
When the school district hires probationary certificated employees, many times they start on the exact same day, so they have a common seniority date. So when the seniority list is created, you have to look at the preparation, the credentials, certification, various number of degrees someone might have that is an advanced degree over a BA, various criteria like that. And they are granted particular points, and those are described there in the resolution for you. And then as the seniority list is developed, each person's background, for lack of a better term, is quantified. And based on the number of points they get, they're ranked on the seniority system, with the person on the same date of first day of paid service having the most points being the highest on the seniority list. This has been done in Novato for many years. It's been the exact same system that's been used. There's been no changes in it. We're bringing this to you tonight because it was done when the seniority list was prepared, and only as we were getting ready to finalize layoffs did I realize that the tiebreaker criteria had not been brought to the board this year. And I'm honestly, Mariah, don't know when the last time that NFT saw it either, so I know she's received it as well. So this is just really approving something that's been a longstanding practice.
Okay. So we have no comment on it, so I will take Trustee Milk, or is that a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, but I saw this 5 years ago, maybe it's been a while, so it's appropriate that we have the current copy of the document as we actually need to use it as a tool. So with that, and I don't see any comment from anybody else, so I'm going to make a motion to approve resolution number 22, the 2122 tiebreaker criteria.
So, Trustee Gasson, were you going to second, or did you have a comment? Okay, because you can comment after I get if we get a second. I'm just following parliamentarian. Yeah. So I will take your second then, and call a question. So all those in favor of approving this resolution, I have 7 affirmative and 1 advisory affirmative as well. So we will accept the recommendation and move on to the next item, which is D, which is approval of Resolution 25, 2021-2022, revised certificated seniority list.
One of the things, if you ever do layoffs in the position that I've held here and in other districts, is that you really have to be accurate with your seniority list because people's employment status relies on it. So on an annual basis, the seniority list is reviewed. And this year, as I went through it with staff members in Human Resources, there were some discrepancies discovered in terms of how people's seniority had been determined in the past for some very technical reasons that I will not go into in detail. Because the layoff is fairly extensive, we felt it was really necessary to make the corrections in the seniority list, share them with the affected employees, share it with NFT, and then come back to you with a revised seniority list, because it is really important that the employees who are being affected by the layoff be treated fairly. That's why you're seeing it for a second time.
So, Trustee Butler.
I noticed from when the last time we approved it to this one, we had some resignations and some retirements we approved in the February meeting.
Correct.
We've left those names on there.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, because those don't go into effect, even though those resignations are irrevocable, especially if they receive the stipend. They don't go into effect until June 30, so this seniority list will remain intact until the end of the school year and until school resumes next year with new hires.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Any other questions or comments? Trustee Butler makes a motion to accept the recommendation, seconded by Trustee Aguila. And before I call a vote, I will just comment that I think that this is a good idea. That I expected us to basically have another review, because it seems my experience in the past is we do the first one and then people step up and ask questions, and it's all for the purpose of getting it right. The level of severity, that what we're talking about, what this list is going to eventually be used for, is so important that we want to get it right. So I appreciate the effort brought forward to have it corrected. So having said that, all those in favor of the recommendation, have 7 in favor and 1 advisory in favor as well. So thank you for that. We're going to move on to item D, which is approval of Resolution 14, 2021-2022, revised preliminary layoff notices certificated.
Well, as you know, things change, and sometimes it can be minute by minute, day by day, week by week. So since the last time we brought the layoff resolution to you, I believe it was perhaps before your final budget advisory or your budgetary decisions. At any rate, there has been some changes in the layoffs. I want to point them out specifically to you. We have an additional layoff of a multi-subject credential teacher. I can explain the math behind that. And that is to have a slot for that certificated administrator that you just took action to reassign. So that's the reason for that change. There are no changes in the multiple subjects, the single subject areas, but there are some additional positions being eliminated. There are 3 middle school deans being eliminated. Those particular positions are being eliminated, and I would prefer to say positions, not people, because the people just move into different slots. And and I've already mentioned the other one, which was the 1.0 is the certificated administrator being reassigned to a classroom position. So that's looks like it could be double counted, but one's a very specific kind of administrative assignment, but that person has enough seniority to be able to go into a multiple subjects position and will then need to add another multiple subjects layoff. And while we're on the subject of layoffs, it always seems just very draconian to do this. I've done this. I've stood in front of a couple of boards and done this a few times. And it's very difficult to do. I personally, with every layoff I've done, have hand-delivered the layoff notices and met with the affected employee, because I believe it's fair for them to hear and have the opportunity to ask questions of someone who can answer them, because of having a lot of experience doing that. That is my intent with all of the teachers who are receiving layoff notices here in Novato as well. Mariah and I are going to be a team, and we're going to be visiting the school sites so that I have an opportunity to give them their notice. They have an opportunity to talk with me and ask questions, and they have an opportunity to be represented by their union representative. So that's kind of an editorial comment, sorry.
No, we expect to have you explain it as clear as possible, so appreciate that. We do have public comment, so I'm going to go ahead and take that now, unless the board would like to ask a question first. No? Then Mariah Fisher, if you'd like to step forward, and we'd like to hear from you.
Hi, good evening. I want to draw attention to the contract regarding the elimination of the dean's position, which was just mentioned. The contract states that counselors have a max caseload of 350 students. So I want to just make sure that everyone's really thinking about that, because what that means is the dean at San Jose, who currently helps 600 students, will need to be replaced with 2 counselors. And at Sinaloa, we're looking at 3. So I want to make sure that this is going into the math about where the money is going to be coming from, and if there are enough funds in that pool to cover multiple people doing right now what we have one person doing. The layoffs are not going to be easy. I'm very concerned about August and how many combo classes we're going to have, how many intervention classes we're not going to have because we don't have the sections. And I just can't caution you enough to reconsider tightening the belt as tight as we are in this one area. We need wiggle room. It happens every August. I've seen it, and I think we're going a little too far on these. Thank you.
Okay, so do we have any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Milrick?
Barbara and Mariah, thank you very much. My daughter used to work for the Nevada Unified School District and got a layoff notice. We've seen this in our own household. This is one of the most difficult things. You think you've made a home, everything is working well, and now your life is changing, and it's very difficult. And the more personal the outreach and the more support we can provide, that's what we owe those loyal employees who have committed to teach our children. So thank you both very much for the hard work that's going to go. Those are going to be difficult days. I'm going to support this motion as presented. We have to get this right this ship financially, otherwise the state will be running this district instead of us. And we need to continue to look for opportunities to cut costs, expenses where we can. But thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome.
This is going to be really important and difficult work. I understand. Thank you.
One second.
Okay, so I'm going to go trustee Aguila and then trustee Gasson.
Oh, that was a motion, and so I'm second.
So how about we hear from trustee Gasson, and then I'll come back to you for that motion.
So thank you, and actually, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that you're actually going to be out visiting and meeting with the teachers in a different environment. I was actually that person in the .com era, and so as soon as somebody saw me, they were trying to hide and go somewhere else because they knew what it meant. But I do think that personal touch is important and working together, so thank you. I want to make just a general statement, kind of touching on what Trustee Miller said, and I know that it's hard, and these decisions impact people's lives, and I've had to learn, being in this seat, about how things work, and we have to have these notices by a certain date, and it's not by choice, but what it does is allow a little bit of flexibility. So it is unfortunate that we give out these notices, and then, fortunately, some of them will be withdrawn, brought back, and the teachers, but it leaves you in that limbo of not knowing, and I know how hard that is, and I wish we didn't have to do it. If there wasn't those rules of what we have to do by certain dates and things, maybe we could wait a little bit longer and go, okay, can we guarantee that there's going to be X amount of kids coming in or moving into the area over the summer, or, who's going to stay or who's not, but those things are not, you can commit to something and then have people leave, move somewhere else. I actually just heard about a Leaving California Facebook page. I've actually been looking at that going, where are people going? But, it's just hard. And so I appreciate that, we don't want to do this, but there's certain things that we just can't get out of because of the rules and the way things work. And so I appreciate everybody trying to work with us and understanding that.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Aguila, did you want to make a motion to approve? Okay.
I will, but I did not. I will.
Yeah, no, I don't think we have a motion yet. You'll make a motion. So is there anyone at this time ready to second the recommendation to, we have to move forward. Trustee Miller, thank you.
Yes, we do. This is not optional work.
I did have a comment. This is difficult. This is way more difficult than it appears. I think sometimes to the public, we're people up here, and we do know the impact this is going to have on individuals out there. And in particular, I think it's important that we're talking about, when we talk about certificated, we're talking mostly about teachers. And, the value that teachers have to our community is, it's awesome. I mean, the responsibility they have to educate the children of our community is just simply enormous. And the level of respect that we have for you and the work that you guys do is vital. And I wish we could spend hours on accolades and finding ways to show our appreciation. But unfortunately, when the budget shift and money becomes the issue, we're going to have to make these harder decisions. So it isn't anything that I think anybody wants to do up here. But it's something that we have to do, but it isn't because we don't respect and honor what it is our employees do for us here in Nevada. So I sincerely would like to express my appreciation to all of you who work in our certificated ranks. So, and I also just briefly will say, I'm sure that superintendent will make sure that we meet our ratio requirements in compliance with the number of students to the counselors. And then when it gets into having some flexibility around August, I think wiggle room was the term that was used. We're just going to have to do our best with less, and I know it's going to be frustrating, but just talk to us, and if there's anything the board can do to work on that to make it easier, I'm just waiting to hear what that might be, and we'd be, I'm sure, supportive. So, having said that, I guess I will call the question. I have a first and a second, and you've got it on. So who first and second? Thank you. All right. So all those in favor of this recommendation, we have Trustee Mack. We have 7-4 and one advisory affirmative as well. So we will accept the recommendation. So,
okay. Can I just make one statement?
Absolutely.
This is the most difficult thing that we do, and even when you know you're getting a pink slip, it's still very, very difficult. So what we'll start doing very soon is to have meetings here regularly, so anyone that wants to come to talk to us, we know some of our people are going to be able to come back. We know that. We have 23 people that have put in resignations or retirement, so once we get that all sorted out, we'll hopefully be able to start bringing some people back, and as our numbers get more secure, then that will be another opportunity for us. But what we have done in the past and what we will do again is to have a regular meeting. Anyone can come. They can either have one-to-ones with us or they can do small group. One thing that I'd really like to remind us of is that we know how difficult the subs were, and we anticipate that will continue across the county. So I would like to recommend that we have permanents. We hire some people that are permanent subs so that they don't lose their jobs and that it's a service to us. And as soon as openings do come, then they're in line to be able to apply for those jobs. So I think we need to be creative. I think we need to support the teachers that are being laid off in a very demonstrative way. And I think it's a great start to have Mariah and Barbara go out and do this personally. As difficult it is, it's much more of a personal experience. So you'll continue to hear us bring things back to you about what we can do to help support those that are receiving a pink slip.
right. Thank you. So we will look forward to that at a future board meeting, the permanent substitution recommendation. Next is 13F, which is approval of the California School Employee Association, affectionately known as CSEA, and their initial proposal for contract negotiations for the 2022 year. And that's for you.
It's my understanding that Don Nicodemus, who's the president of the Chapter 312 of CSEA, actually during open session, non-agendized comments, had a lapse there, actually provided you with this information. This is the board's opportunity to formally accept these openers because it needed to be agendized. And I expect that at the next board meeting, the district will bring its openers to the board for their approval as well. And then the negotiations process will get started in earnest.
Okay, so any questions or comments on the opening proposal from CSEA? So
To accept?
We do, and essentially just want to make sure that we get this corrected. I think, unless I'm holding the wrong, no, it does say agreed upon by NFT and NUSD, so we're going to want to change that.
You might want to change that. That's when I work from Sebastopol and I send templates down, and sometimes I forget to take the letters out. So, yeah.
And, you know,
So
and we could, okay, and so I'll ask for a motion to accept the recommendation. I have a first from,
I'll accept the recommendation of the superintendent for approval of the initial proposal for negotiations for 2021. Is that right, or is it
That's
supposed to
right.
be 21, 22?
oh, good point. You nailed it. Got it.
Okay, mutually agreed upon by CSEA and NUSD. With that revision, I will move.
So do I have a second as amended? Trustee Jacobson. Any other comments or questions about this issue? Similar to earlier comments around our certificated staff, we couldn't run this place without our classified, so definitely want to show appreciation for them as well, and we look forward to working out negotiations for this year. So having said that, I will call the question. Or actually, I need a first from Trustee Miller. I need a second from Trustee Jacobs. So all those in favor, I have 7 in the affirmative and 1 advisory. I think very much. So the recommendation will pass, and we will move on to item G, which is approval of resolution number 18, 2021 through 2022, preliminary layoff notices for classified.
This year, effective with this school year, or maybe it was January 1, the layoff process for classified employees changed dramatically in the state of California until AB, whatever it was, 438. It's just a number. I just rattle off whatever comes to mind. AB 438 really aligns the classified layoff process with the one that has been in use for certificated layoffs for many, many years. So normally, in the old days, it was a 60-day notice for any kind of a layoff. That's no longer the case. Preliminary notices now need to be issued prior to March 15th. Final layoff notices need to be issued prior to May 15th. So the district has the attached page, indicates the positions that are being laid off and the number of hours per week. These are all 40-hour-a-week full-time positions. And I will tell you that there's a number of good news with layoffs, but sort of like medium-y good news is many of these positions are vacant. So there's not people that are going to be personally affected by them as is the case with the certificated layoffs.
Any questions? So can I have a motion to accept the recommendation? Trustee Mack first, and a second from Trustee Aguila. And just would like to make just a brief comment about, similar to what I said before, that nobody likes this type of business, and we do appreciate the work that our classified does for us. And as far as the new law, I mean, honestly, from my perspective, I think it's fair to treat all of our employees the same way. So I know it's different this year, but I think we'll be better off for it. And that may sound strange coming from me, I know, but I actually think this is the right thing to do. All right, having said that, all those in favor? Okay, we have 7 in the affirmative, 1 advisory as well, so the recommendation will pass. So we're going to move ahead to our item H, which is approval of governmental financial strategies, scope of work for assistance with our parcel tax and the Blue Ribbon Committee process, and our CFO Lois Standing will present.
Thank you. So I don't know if you recall, back in September, you approved a general kind of master contract for government financial strategies. And at that time, I told you that when there were specific projects that would come forward, we would have a separate scope of work so you could see what the cost would be. I know there were some concerns that the original contract was open-ended. So this is an example of detailed information about a bigger project that Government Financial Strategies under Lori Ranieri is doing. So you've had the presentation from her. You have a good idea of what the process is. The scope of work describes it in a little more detail, and you can see the associated cost. We're going to have a specific account code for anything related to this parcel tax Blue Ribbon Committee, then when it comes to the election, so at any point down the road, we'll be able to go back and say, this is what it costs the district to initiate and run the parcel tax for this particular election. Any questions?
Okay, so we're talking about moving ahead with our Blue Ribbon Committee, and do you guys have any questions or comments for Lois before we proceed? So I wish Lori could have been here, but I guess she's not. But there are some questions that are coming forward here and there, but I think we can work that out as we go.
Well, and if you
as we
pass
proceed.
them on to me, I can certainly get answers.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So essentially, anyone, public included, can send us a comment, and if they have whether it's concerns or inquiries about how this is going to move ahead, I invite everyone to let us know that their opinion or a comment or what they think, or if they don't understand the process, essentially. So, having said that, do we? This has an action, so we need to take action. So, do I have a motion to support the superintendent staff recommendation on this? Trustee Gasson and Trustee, somebody's going to second this for me. Trustee Jacobson, thank you very much. Appreciate that. All those in favor? I have 7 plus 1 advisory in favor. So we will move ahead with the Blue Ribbon Committee, and thank you for your work on this. I look forward to the results. Our next item is I, and this is approval of the agreement with Godby Research for voter survey to evaluate the feasibility of a potential future parcel tax measure. And
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. So, our CFO, Lois Stanning.
Okay, this is a contract that I think many of you have seen similar contracts in the past. I know it's a service the district has used before. It's in order to get information from our public to help us move forward with the parcel tax. And the information in this tax, we're bringing it forward at this point. Once this is approved, they will actually get out there, from what he's telling us, and they will be presenting the data to the Blue Ribbon Committee. So time is a very important piece of this, and your approval tonight will allow them to, we've done a lot of planning already we got the final revised questions and statements today, and he'll be able to move forward very quickly, getting out and actually contacting the community.
Okay, thank you. So, do we have any questions or comment? Trustee Gasson?
So my first question, unless it's been updated, there's 3 options?
Yes.
There are.
So I don't see that it,
They're still working out. I think at this last one, I believe, Leslie, 20 minutes? It's estimated to be 20 minutes at this point.
so
It would be the mid-range.
So we are approving any of the 3, or?
Well, we're actually, so that's
Yes,
a
it
good
could be
que-
any one of the
It's a
3.
good question, because it's up to us to evaluate the options and make a decision as to what we think might be appropriate. So, do you have a?
Well, I'll take a step back then, and I will say this. I mean, I've appreciated working with him. I've done that at least twice, maybe 3 times. So I'm familiar with the services. I think one of the things that I've liked about Lori is her ability to look at this a little different. I think that's really important for however we go forward, that it's different than what we've done the last couple of times. So the questions and process that everybody else in here is okay. The process that he's gone through in the past, is he coordinating with Laura? Like, are they?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I just.
We have had 3 meetings at this point, and Lori is very vocal and very inquisitive about his processes and his reasonings, and many things have been changed.
Okay,
Because
so
of
that
her-
makes me feel better. I just want to make sure that we're all in alignment, we're all
Yes.
going in the same direction. I mean, I'm pleased if he's going to be able to present this information before for the Blue Ribbon Committee. But I just want to make sure, I mean, again, I found her presentation refreshing and hopeful, and I liked that, and I would like to see, make sure that everyone's kind of, doesn't have to agree on everything, but going in the same direction as to what we're trying to achieve, and making sure that we do the best that we can to get the information to the committee and to individuals on what we're doing.
It's been a very interactive process coming to the conclusion about what this survey will look like. I think it's a combination of Lori's new way of looking at things, it's the experience of Leslie and Jan, and it's new eyes for me, just saying, hey, what's this about? So I think altogether, we've really been able to create something that is the same, but also very different.
It's, when you've been doing something as long as he has, and someone is new coming in saying, well, I think you should change this word, and I think you should, and I don't think we should ask this question, and Derek got to be part of it on, when did we meet? Monday? Geez, Monday morning. And so it was an interesting process. We were on the phone for 2 hours, or on a Zoom for 2 hours. So there's been a lot of work going into it, and it feels good, I think. I think our whole team, Leslie, I think everybody feels the same.
Yeah, I'll volunteer. It's fairly collaborative, and as strong-willed as Lori is, she's also willing to listen and recognize when possibly her suggestion might be outside the lines or not as valuable as she might have thought. So that showed in itself, to a great degree, that we are actually going about this differently this time. So I suspect we'll have different results. The survey is going to be different. And for us, it's just a matter of determining if we feel the committee can make do on 18 minutes, or if we think they need more than that. And I would open that up for discussion and to see what you guys think. If you want my opinion, I'll exercise it. I think 18 minutes is going to be sufficient for where we are with this new process and the value of tracking from past surveys, and how this one's going to be a little bit different. That for what we need, I think 18 would be enough, but I could see the value in spending more time surveying our community.
And can I just say that what is set up right now from our discussions is estimated to be 20 minutes. So if you were to want it to be 18, we'd have to cut something.
So are you saying that he's actually that you guys would prefer 20 over 18?
I'm just saying that what it is right now is 20. So if the board wants it to be 18, we'll have to go back and figure out where to take out 2 minutes.
Can we do, maybe we can do something like what we've done before is up to the 20-minute mark, and is acceptable. If it can get down to 18, then great. I mean, if it's the time that you were questioning an individual or expecting, I mean, our attention span and time is like, so I think the shorter that we go, the better, and maybe better results we'll get. But I personally wouldn't want to limit if it was to go 19 or whatever.
So we just did the revisions, and we need to take a look at them again, because even with the first revisions we did, we thought that we had taken out the duplicates, and we still had duplicates. So we'll take a look at it again and see what we can do.
Yeah, and duplicates not meaning exactly the same question, but another way of asking the same question. But so it's interesting. So if the latest draft has come forward and it's at 20 minutes, I'm just trying to save money, to be honest. And I just felt like at the time that where we are with the new process and the value of this information for the new committee, that we'd be okay. But I hear now that 20 might be better. So I think staff could take direction from us along the lines that not to exceed 20 minutes, and then maybe they'll go back and review it and see if they can get it down to 19 or something. How's that sound? Okay, I'm getting some nods and
That's good.
Fine.
We'll
feeling
do it
good about that.
I'd give them as much leeway as possible.
Okay.
We've done that in the past where we just said not to exceed the max amount. We've approved it up to 30, like would be 32,700 for the 22 minutes.
I would agree with trustee Butler. They gave us a range. I trust our staff can negotiate effectively. They know when money's tight. If they haven't figured it out before tonight, they figured it out tonight. And give them what they're asking for is the choice to give and negotiate value versus cost, and I expect they'll do a good job. So I would go for the item, what they're asking for, 32,700 as an approval, would be my choice.
So, can I take that as a first from trustee Butler and
Yeah, not to exceed.
a second from trustee Miller?
32.7 and a second by me, yes, you can.
And not to exceed the 22-minute version, so.
They can do 100 minutes if they want, as long as it doesn't
I was
cost.
I don't think he'll go for that. All right, so then I have a first and I have a second for not to exceed 22 minutes. So any other questions or comments? That's more accurate, not to exceed the dollar amount of $32,700 is what we're talking about to survey hopefully 500 of our community members. And let's get the word out there. If Novato Unified School District calls and has questions, take the call and answer. Let us know what you think, because it's important to all of us, especially when we're talking about something as important as public education for our children. So I have a clarified motion on the table. I will call the question. All those in favor? I have 7 for and 1 advisory affirmative as well. So we will proceed.
Thank you.
With not to exceed. Okay, our last item is J.
Exactly.
We got there, all right.
We got there, and look at the time.
I'm afraid to look at the time.
No, you're doing great.
Okay, so then election of 2022 CSBA Delegate Assembly for Subregion 3D, Marin County, and Jan will present this item.
Yeah, so this is really just a formalized process. Gina Daly is the selected person to the CSBA Delegate Assembly, and we need all of the boards in Marin County to support her going to the assembly, being the assembly delegate. So that is just an affirmative.
Great. Trustee Aguila.
So I make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion to support Gina Daly of Santa Fe City Schools to represent us in District 3D. Trustee Mack, second. Any more questions or comments? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor is 7 in favor, 1 advisory. Thank you. So Gina will be our vote to represent us. And Jan, did you want to say something about before I close the meeting?
Yeah,
that's right.
I'd like us to close in honor of the Wilhelm family and the other families that are still suffering with this terrible loss and the results of how they're going to move forward in the healing process. It's been very tough, and the amazing work that has been done at San Marin High School, and Jen and Angela and our incredible psych team and our partners with the counseling, they've just been incredible. So we will continue to learn things as we go ahead and what we might do to continue to support the families. So we'll let you know.
And the impact has been at San Ramon Elementary as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, and at Mary Silvera, where one of the dads works. Mm-hmm.
So in honor of the Willems, the Novato Unified School District community, our hearts and thoughts are with you, and we are adjourned.